Hi everybody, I'm Erica, one of the admin with Educators for Equity. So I wanted to make a video for our Teacher Talk Tuesday on ways that you can build authentic relationships with your students. School's coming back up, and with a lot of the equity work that's going on, a lot of teachers are really wanting to build those relationships with all of their students and to make sure that we're reaching out to all of our students in a time when it's so crucial that our students are feeling loved and like we are there for them, and that we're giving all of our students the education and the resources, the tools, everything they need to truly thrive, right, in their academic setting. So I have 4 tips that I'd like to share with you on building these authentic relationships. So tip number 1 is go beyond the beginning of the year survey. It's always a great idea to give out a beginning of the year survey. This can be how many siblings do you have, what do you like about school, what do you not like about school. These are all really great things to give out in the beginning of the year to get to know your students, but it's also important to go beyond this beginning of your survey. So once you collect the data, what I recommend is you choose 2 to 3 students that you focus on per day. And it can be more, it could be less, depending on your class size, because it all varies on school to school. And it also depends on how fast you want to build the culture and the relationships with all of your students in the beginning of the year. But choose, I would say, around 2 to 3 students a day. And what you want to do is take time in your day to have personal conversations. It can be during an independent practice. You could have a quick check-in. You can hold them back from recess, from lunch, depending on what grade level you teach. I come from an elementary background, so some of my tips might resonate more with elementary teachers, but I'm going to try to give examples from all grade levels that can be used. But really get to have these personal conversations with your students and ask them, how do you feel about school? And what do you think of yourself as a student? Most of the authentic relationships that I built with my students and the way that I got my students to be invested in their learning and for them to be like, wow, Miss Allen really, really cares about me and is invested in my learning, is because I was able to change their mindset and get them from a place of feeling like they cannot succeed in school to really getting them to believe that they can learn and they can achieve. And that's because I took the time in the beginning of the year to find out how they really felt about themselves as students, where they felt they struggled. And then I was able to incorporate that and build in my lessons and in my planning ways, strategies, talks, chats, ways to build up a growth mindset in my students that fostered their mindset about themselves as students to grow and really made them feel like I cared for them and that I was truly there. So when I say go beyond the beginning of the year survey, these conversations that you're having with the students are really important to kind of deep dive into what makes your student tick, right? So it could be anything. I taught kindergarten for years. It could be anything from your student saying that they love mermaids. And so you decide to do a math problem and turn that student into a mermaid in the math problem, right? So Sally saw 10 mermaids, and now who was a problem student or a student who didn't like math has now become engaged and is intrigued and is like, wow, this teacher is talking about mermaids. What is she about, right? Now you've hooked her. Then you can take the time to have that conversation. Hey, how did you feel about mermaids? I know you really love mermaids. I did that especially for you. Did you like that? Now the student is starting to make this connection and think to themselves, wow, this teacher knows that I love mermaids and took the time to do this for me. And it's developing those authentic relationships that really matter and reach the students. What we want to avoid is kind of going in there with a savior mentality of like, oh, I'm just going to love my students extra hard because they need me and I'm here for you, right? Because that seems fake and it's inauthentic. So the key word in here is building authentic relationships. So really get to know your students and their needs. So tip number 2 is find ways to show your students that you care. So this is kind of going off of the mermaid example that I used before. Really find out what makes your student tick. Okay, so in the elementary world, giving a student a hug, a pat on the back, good job. might be good for some students. Some students, that might not work, right? We've all had those trouble students who've had emotional issues or who might think that they can't learn and have had mental breakdowns. I'm not good enough. I can't do this, right? What can you do to break through to that student and really get them to feel like, yes, you can do this and you can sit down, you can achieve, and you can succeed? And how can you be that teacher? What makes you different and special from the other teachers and the other experiences that they've had in their schooling career so far that's going to make you different and that teacher that they look back on and they go, oh man, that was the one teacher that I had that changed my trajectory. Okay, so as you're going into this school year, you really want to look at each and every student and yourself and think, how can you be that teacher that that student looks back on and goes, that teacher changed my future? And that's very crucial this year in particular with virtual learning, with the COVID pandemic going on, and it's going to be different for everybody in every school. Everybody's student body, classroom, what you're doing. Some people are doing e-learning, some are doing a mixed model. So it's hard to give specific examples. If you want specific examples, you can always reach out to us at our Educators for Equity page or write a post on our Facebook group of like specific scenarios once we're in the classroom with our kids. But really figure out what can you do to be unique once you see your body of students and what you're doing and what you're teaching. So have that in the back of your mind. So tip number 3 is when you're building authentic relationships with your students, you really have to believe in your students, truly believe in your students and believe that they all can learn so much to the point that your students also believe that they can succeed and learn. A lot of the time as teachers, and yes, we all love all of our kids, and yes, we really want all of our kids to succeed, but there are students who we click with more, and there are students who kind of get lost in the background, right? So for instance, in Title I schools, we're so focused around bringing up the lower bottom quartile, right? That's our data focus, that's our RTI groups, and we're so quick. And the students that get it, they tend to kind of move along because we just know that they get it, right? So it's really, really, really important that we are making sure that all of our students believe that they can learn and that we are going above and beyond for all of our students and that we are finding what is pushing all of our students to succeed. So for example, if we have a student that is excelling in our classroom, what can we do to motivate that student to push themselves beyond? Is it that we say, wow, I noticed that you finish your work really, really quickly and that you were a leader in this classroom. How would you feel about modeling a lesson for me and pretending to be the teacher one day? Is that a challenge you would like? Boom, we've now hooked the student. We've now made the student feel like there's more that they can do. Wow, there is something that if I can just continue to push myself, continue to succeed, there's reward in this, right? So now we've just changed their mindset from, I'm not even gonna try because I can pretty much rest through my work and just sit here and twiddle my thumbs and the teacher's gonna help the kids who are struggling anyways, right? Now we've given them something to feel motivated about and we've built that relationship with the student to show them, I still see you and I'm proud of the fact that you get this work and I'm proud of the fact that it's a little easier for you, but I still believe in you and I'm still going to push you and I'm still going to challenge you because I care and I believe in you. And I need you to believe in yourself. And so now what you're going to do is you're going to see that student starting to ask, hey, can I have more work? Hey, when can I be a teacher again? Hey, do you have even more challenges? And you're going to see that student starting to excel and wanting to push themselves more. And it's a beautiful thing. Then on the other side, we have our students who may struggle or need more support, right? So there's those students who, I can't do this, I'm not smart, I don't know what to do. And one thing that I do with these students is, number one, yes, they can. Like point blank, there is no student that can't do anything. So if you are a teacher out there and you think, I don't care if they are on an IEP, I don't care if they're on a 504, I don't care if they are emotionally disturbed, deafblind, I don't care what it is. every student can reach the expectation that you set for them. How they get there might be different, the supports might be different, the scaffolding might be different, but they can do it. So you as the teacher need to have high expectations for every student. So when I get that student that goes, I can't do this, this is too hard, I'm never going to do it, I literally say to them, I believe in you too much to let you sit here and say something about yourself like that. Because I, as your teacher, know that you can do it, and I refuse to let you be in my class and think those things about yourself. And almost immediately, you can see the students start to go, wait a minute, they think I can do it? And they still might get upset, and they might not go sit down and immediately attempt to do the work. But if you continue to have that mindset, over time you will see that students slowly start to believe in themselves. And by, like, it may not be the first quarter, it may not be through the first semester, but by the end of the year, I guarantee you that you will see a shift in that student. I had a student who was one of my rougher students. He hated school. No teacher believes in me. And this student loves school now. And his teacher would go, thank you so much, Miss Allen. Like, I don't know what you did, but he loves school and he just wants to go and he can't wait to come to school. I'm not magic. I'm not special. All I did was believe and tell him he could do it. And I made him do it and show himself and prove to himself that he could do it. Because a lot of the time our students have had mental blocks, or they just haven't had that teacher that has told them they can, right? There's like, oh, they need help, they need RTI, they need the... No, you can do it. So sit down and do it. So believe in your students and you will see the growth that they can do. And lastly, just please, 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 I've already said this, but I want to make it its own point. Have high expectations for all of your students. When you are building your relationships with your students, I guarantee you the number one way to make it authentic and make it feel as though you really care, and for you to be that one pivotal teacher to change these students' careers, their educational careers, their paths, make them go after their dreams, their goals, and know that they can succeed academically, it's going to be that you were the teacher who believed in them and made them believe in themselves because you had high expectations and pushed them. And you may get some teeth sucking and you may get some, this is too hard, but that's okay. Challenge them. It's okay. Nothing easy is going to give you the reward you seek. And we also have to teach that. So yes, it's nice to spend all the time making our classrooms look pretty and, oh, we can put up these cute little sayings like, yes, you can, and be kind. And that's nice if that's your cup of tea and that's what you want. But you can have bare walls in your classroom and have the most academic growth as long as you have high expectations for every single one of your students. And the main thing is, as a teacher, you have to move away from things like, oh, I have the bad class, or my kids can't, or, oh, I have the class with all the behavior issues. Okay, well, if that's how you feel, what can you do as the teacher to change that? Because your kids aren't changing. But what can change is what you do, right? What you do to inspire, motivate, and make your kids succeed. Nobody's perfect. Kids are going to have behavior issues. Kids are going to have trouble believing in themselves. Kids are going to struggle academically. Nobody's perfect. So it's not the students, it's not the parents, it's us as teachers. What can we do as teachers to get our students, our kids, our class to where we want them to be? So you have to change your mindset as a teacher from, oh, I have that class or these students or this kid, and really think and check yourself and stop yourself and think, locus of control. What can I do? What can I change to bring out the best in this student, right? And have the student bring out the best in themselves. and have high expectations and have my student have high expectations in themselves. So I hope this helped, and I will see you all soon.